Hey everyone, my name is Nathan Pay and welcome to Blu Ocean Crypto. Today, I want to introduce everyone to a super fun new play-to-earn title that I've been enjoying quite a bit called Everyfarm. Now, there isn't NFTs implemented yet, they do plan on releasing them very shortly, but the play-to-earn aspect focuses on token generation. And it reminds me very much so like Ni no Kuni Crossworlds or Ragnarok Labyrinth NFT. I've already got their website open, so let's jump right into it. Now, obviously, you can see you've got all their social icons on the right side. You can always go explore there, and I definitely recommend it, but I do like how they have their GitHub on the bottom. This is a mobile-friendly game, and it runs beautifully on phones and tablets. I'm playing personally on a tablet through the App Store, and like I said, it's been running great. You can find the app on the Apple App Store and Google Play. But let's go through the website here. So there's this really cute intro video where it shows an example of the farms that you build. I definitely recommend you watch it. I thought it was pretty well done. And it'll lead you to their YouTube, which also has a whole bunch of great instructional videos and other video resources related to the game and the crypto aspect of it. So just kind of moving along, we have Lena, the main character of Everyfarm. It says here she's born and raised on a farm. The farm is part of her. And it's kind of neat because it does have this story where she's constantly meeting friends and people are joining your farm. You're learning tips and tricks. There are artisans and cooks that come and visit. And this is essentially who you're playing as. Now, there's also Tom. He's kind of like the secretary of the farm. He's the one who manages a lot of the quests and requests. He's obviously friends with Lena, and he brings some of the visitors occasionally to the farm to help. Then you've got Irvin. He's from a neighboring village who pursues large-scale farming methods, and sometimes he'll bring over requests as well. And rather than being eco-friendly or organic, he pays attention to competitive price through mass production. However, he does object to genetic manipulation. So it's kind of interesting. It's got like this organic versus non-organic narrative playing in it as well. And people say you should be careful of him because often he can intercept customers of yours that might mess up your farming methods. So sometimes he can be a little bit of a villain, but occasionally he can have quests and requests for you too. Then you've got Chelsea, which is Irvin's secretary and maid. She's in charge of chores and various office work. Now she's really nice and she'll come over and help you do things and make up for the stuff that Irvin does. And she mentions how she's sorry that Irvin loses all the good reputation he's earned by the deeds that he's doing and the mean words that he says. But sometimes she feels frustrated by Irvin's robot-like side. So even the villain has this like cooperative aspect to it. So like I said, they're really trying their best to add this whole narrative of good guy, bad guy, helping organic versus non-organic. And it does give it this flair that's actually quite nice to experience. And then of course you've got all these visitors which have their own little stories. And that's what it's like showing you all the different characters here. I've barely scratched the surface. I think my farm only has 5 out of the 20 or 30 available that'll eventually come join you, which is nice to know. There's still quite a bit for me to experience. But just kind of moving along down to the more exciting stuff, now we can talk about gameplay. So you own your farm. They talk about NFTs and how this is the goal. They say that everything is going to be an NFT. And we can dive into that later on because currently there's no NFTs implemented as of yet. You're just playing the game to collect these hearts, and the hearts are what can be converted into tokens. So basically you're growing your farm, trees, crops, lots of different things. There's even livestock like pigs and cows and chickens, and you take those materials and then you cook them in your different buildings or facilities. So this one looks like some kind of stew or soup, restaurant style. And then you earn gold, obviously for selling the materials and parts. We'll talk about the gold a little bit more soon. But the hearts are definitely the most sought after thing because, as I mentioned, that's what we're going to be converting into our cryptocurrency or tokens. It also talks about how Everyfarm is a multiplayer farm builder game where anyone can farm and own a village by growing crops, cooking, opening a restaurant, and meeting new friends from all over the world. This game brings real-world agricultural systems into the mobile world. Now, one small thing I mentioned about the multiplayer and how you can actually help your friends farm is you can actually visit their farm and help speed up certain facilities so that they can produce quicker. And I do really like how they do that, because you can see how your friend's progress is going, and like I said, really help each other kind of do things a little quicker. It talks about starting your own farming business, gives a little more backstory about how you've actually inherited your grandfather's old farm, so now you're moving back to the town, and this is where all your childhood friends are waiting for you. You can design your farm with countless objects. There's literally hundreds of farm decorations and options to choose from, and you actually need to use some of these decorations in order to build what's called your eco. We'll talk about that in another video, but that's really what allows you to actually build the facilities and the livestock and things like that. So I did find it a little overwhelming in the beginning, but luckily you can pace yourself into it. So just talking about our next video and being able to take a look at some gameplay, explaining what eco is. Really, I'm looking forward to being able to show you guys a lot of beautiful detailed graphics, but it's important that we understand the game first, and that's why we're going through the website. So it shows we can meet adorable villagers and we fulfill their individual quests to move forward in the storyline. Once again, I really like the story. I found it quite engaging, so I definitely highly recommend that you guys do read that rather than skip it along, which is generally what I do in these type of games. It mentions about taking a break from the busy city life. You run off to a pocket-sized world of peaceful farming and small town management, and you can enjoy the friendly delights. One nice thing about it as well is it doesn't take a ton of time investment in the beginning. You can play a bit non-stop up to a certain level when you first start, and then really after that you're just logging in every couple hours to do your main. You could of course log in a little bit more frequently to increase your production, but this is an aspect I really like about this game. It's casual, it's very typical of a farming game. You log in for 5 minutes, do your things, and then you're back to your day. It talks about how there's crops to sow and harvest, you can manage your factories, become an expert by growing and selling your crops. There is a lot of things to coordinate and organize and manage, especially because you need to make sure that your inventory has enough things to create what you need to in your mills and factories and shops, meaning there's a requirement on certain materials in order to combine them to make that next thing. You get all kinds of cool different food, beverages, items, and they can be used in quests and many other things too. Like I mentioned, you can cooperate with other towns, help their mills and factories earn bonus items, so there is an incentive for people to help each other, not just speeding up production. So like I said, you can visit their farm, help them with some of their mills or facilities, and in return you do get some bonuses and items. And then of course the idea is hopefully they'll do the same for you. Talks about the joy of making money with dishes and hand-grown crops. You can cook delicious meals from the crops you grow, turn around and sell them to customers in your restaurant for gold. You can increase your restaurant sales and upgrade your farm with the money earned from the restaurant to increase productivity. I'll explain the restaurant here in a little bit more detail soon too, because that is a new concept. Your skills in a variety of settings and management techniques will bring you more money. So this was kind of interesting to me because a lot of farming games are very linear at the beginning. For example, you do this and you get that. But I found this had a lot of different routes, options, pathways to go, and I found myself often having to completely reorganize my farm because I did something without realizing the next thing that was going to come up. And personally, I really like that. I like when there's more strategy and complexity added into a farming game, and this game definitely delivered. So now that we kind of ripped through the gameplay, let's move on to the crypto aspect, which is the Flero token. Now it's a new digital asset that connects every farm in the real world, so this is very similar to Ni no Kuni's Terrarite. There are some subtle nuanced differences, but not much. So the first thing is you're earning these hearts, and these hearts are more of a mid to end game type resource, so typically you don't get many of them in the beginning. When you're playing near the end, you do. And then right in game, that's where you can exchange your hearts into the Flero token. And then once you've done that, you do need your Wemix Wallet, which is a separate app that you can have on your phone or tablet. And I'll show you guys what that looks like here and how to set it up quickly near the end of the video. So make sure you stay to the end of the video so you can see exactly what that looks like and how to properly use it. Now, it's generally pretty straightforward. You take your hearts, you exchange them for the Flero token, and then once you have your tokens, you send it to your wallet, which is already connected to the game. So the process is very smooth, intuitive, and I really do think it's going to help a lot of people who are new to crypto gaming because there isn't all this wallet extension, MetaMask, private key stuff. It's just a lot simpler. And then of course, you take the Flero, exchange it into the Wemix token, and now you can use that on whatever popular cryptocurrency exchange that you want. And I'll show you some more information about that here in a moment, but let's just finish going through this. So it talks about minting Flero. Flero is rewards that are produced through the compensation of converting your hearts, like I mentioned. So you got your hearts and then you go through this process. It is limited to the amount of minting that can be done on a daily basis, i.e. the amount of hearts that you can convert into Flero. And they do have a whole bunch of details here that talk about how they basically reserve the right to change that, which really just covers their butts and lets them be kind of transparent about that fact, so that if they do make a change down the road, well, they already warned everyone ahead of time. I did find this whole write-up was very legalese, almost bad English, but I think they're intentionally keeping it vague like that for that very reason. And as I mentioned, the Flero token is what's used to exchange into Wemix through your wallet. So let's talk about gold, which we brought up a few times but didn't really explain. Gold is the main in-game currency which is earned by playing, and there's lots of things that you can do with that. You need to use it to upgrade your facilities or buy crops. There's also lots of ways to get gold, such as selling the items that you're cultivating from your inventory or cooking things in the restaurant. There's also special events, quests, and all kinds of ranking rewards that'll net you gold. So for example, like I said, you can level up your facilities, buy more seeds. Players can earn games by playing games, and then the gold obviously is what's reinvested to purchase ingredients, materials, or mills for cultivation. If you want to buy this yogurt factory or it's the first time you're going to be purchasing it, there is a gold cost associated to that. Also, players can earn gold by mixing ingredients and products at the restaurant. Now, once again, we've also talked about the restaurant a few times, so let's kind of go into those details. It's actually not available until later on in the game, so you don't get it right away. So now we're talking about hearts, which is the most sought after resource in the game, because that's what gets us the Flero token. Now we don't unlock this until level 30, but once we're at level 30, essentially the way it works is there's 4 different ovens, and all of these ovens can cook different dishes, and 3 of them generally will net you hearts. Now there is an RNG to that on how many hearts you'll actually get, and of course the type of dish that you're cooking. Now the first oven generally doesn't net you any hearts. However, sometimes there are special events and things called special menus that will allow you to make that first oven also generate hearts. Now, you do need to have a little bit of Flero in your Wemix wallet in order to get the other 3 ovens to produce hearts. So there is that small nuanced detail, which is very important. It's essentially like making sure you have a small balance just to access the earning in the game. And just kind of scrolling along, they do plan on having airdrop events, or had one also in the past, but maybe there'll be another that comes up, so definitely something to keep an eye on. And just kind of scrolling along, there is a staking option, which isn't here yet, but I'm sure it's going to be kind of interesting to see when they do release it. And that's just a main or quick overview / introduction of the game. And one thing I will show you next, like I mentioned, is how the Wemix token is doing, as well as the wallet app. But first, let's take a look at the token, some of the trade volume, market cap, and just see what the health of this is like. So if we come down here, we can see we've got a market cap of 350 million. That's definitely healthy for a play to earn game. And we have quite a large 24-hour volume of over 100 million, which is kind of surprising, to be honest. But if we come down here, we can take a look at this graph, which is very typical of a lot of play to earn projects, right? Price went up during the bull run that happened over Christmas time. Now it's gone down a bit with the bear run. But we have seen some stability over the last couple months, And that's definitely something that I personally look at, as well as our game guild looks at, when we're deciding whether or not to get into a game and if it's a good time. Now, the Wemix token is worth $2.83 US, and just kind of scrolling down, we can see where most of the liquidity lies. And we can see exchanges like Gate.io, Awobi, Coin1, KuCoin, and the one that definitely has the most here is BitHub. So, like I said, definitely looks healthy, and I'm impressed to see how this is doing. I feel like the 24-hour trade volume might be a little inflated because we did have a 200% increase in the last 24 hours, but even still, that would be great, and the market cap is nice. So the price is decent, and of course, what I'm sure everyone is wondering and what we need to figure out next is what's our return on investment? How much can we actually earn playing this? And that's something we're going to go over in our next video. Take a look at gameplay, what our earning potentials are, and I'll show you guys what it's like to make and manage a farm. But let's jump now into the wallet so you guys can see what that's like, because as I mentioned, I found it very intuitive and easy to use and was quite impressed with it. So first thing, obviously, you want to sign in. Because I'm using my Apple tablet, I'm just going to sign in with my Touch ID. Keeps things easy. Huge disclaimer here, though. It does mention that they will not help you recover a lost password due to the nature of blockchain. So when you first create your wallet's password, make sure you write it down twice, put it somewhere safe, put it in your password keeper, because if you ever lose that, your wallet's gone forever. So that's a very important thing to know. So you can see when we first log in here, there's actually a lot going on, but if we just head right to our profile, that's where we can see our wallet address, which is obviously going to be helpful for sending and receiving. So we can take a look at Wemix. If we open this up, it shows that we can exchange our tokens for Wemix credits. Kind of interested to know what that is, not really sure. And there is this staking option as well. So if we just tap this second button here, it's going to show us a lot more information. It'll show the fluctuations in the various tokens supported by the wallet. And if we just scroll down here, we can actually see the Flero token. Shows how we can buy some, shows us the price action, and there's even purchase history. But of course, because we haven't purchased any yet, nothing shows up. So just taking a look at the settings, you've got your ID, you can change your password, terms of service, or logo. You can also set it so it only shows you assets that you own. And of course, there is the QR scanner for scanning wallet addresses. There's even a section with a bunch of announcements. And I would relate this very similar to how Ni no Kuni Crossworlds work with the Netmarble Wallet app. Very simple, very intuitive as well. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. One big way that you guys can help us is make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn those bell notifications on to stay up to date with all the great play to earn content that we have coming for you. So like I mentioned, this game is a ton of fun. There's really great art. It reminds me very much of Ni no Kuni Crossworlds and Ragnarok Labyrinth NFT, where it's helping simplify the process of the whole play to earn NFTs and crypto. And in our next video, as I mentioned, we're going to take a look at gameplay, how to make and manage a farm, and I look forward to seeing you there. Until next time, cheers.